Hello, it's Mrs. Gillum, and I'm the reading teacher at James Elementary and Trail Woods Elementary in the Kansas City Public School System. Today, I am here to share with you a good reader skill. Good readers focus on the character when they read. If you try to get to know the character in the story, you get more out of the story that the author is trying to tell you. So, good readers look at a character's traits on the outside, the ones you can see, and on the inside, the ones you can't see, the ones about the character's thoughts and words and the things that they do. Well, today we're going to look at the character traits inside the main character of the story. The story that I brought for you today is called Babushka's Doll. Now, this is a story about a little girl whose grandmother is from Russia. And the word babushka means grandmother in Russian. So the characters in the story are the grandmother and the little girl Natasha. Now we are focused on the little girl. This is Babushka's Doll by one of my favorite authors, Patricia Polacco. It wasn't that Natasha was a truly naughty child. She just never understood why she had to wait for things. Babushka, Natasha said, for in Russian, babushka means grandmother. Please stop doing the laundry and push me in the swing. My darlings, Babushka said, I have laundry first. Would you like to help me? No, said Natasha. I want to swing now. Here in the picture, we can see grandmother doing the laundry, and you can see Natasha saying no, she wants to swing right now. Aren't you finished yet? I want to go for a ride in the goat cart. My precious, Babushka said, I must hang up these clothes while the sun is shining. But the sun will be shining all day. I want to go now. Take me, said Natasha. So here is grandmother trying to get her work done, while Natasha tugs at her and demands that she come and do something now. Babushka went to feed the goats. Natasha followed. But I'm hungry too, Babushka. My stomach is making noises. I want to eat now. Don't be selfish, darling, said Babushka. These poor creatures need to be fed. They cannot fix their own lunch. There's Babushka. She's feeding the goats, feeding the animals, while Natasha holds her stomach because she's so hungry. Well, I'm going to stop right there at this point in the story, and I'm going to ask you, so far in the story, which trait is most like Natasha? Is she helpful? Is she helping her grandmother? Is she kind to her grandmother? Is she selfish? Or is she curious about what her grandmother is doing? What do you think? Do you think she is helpful, kind, selfish, or curious? Oh, well, why do you think that? What are her words or actions that are making you feel that she is whatever you picked off this list? I'll check back with you later on what you decided. Read a little more of this story. Now I am finished, said Babushka. Now we will have lunch. She took a little kettle down from a high shelf, and Natasha looked up where the kettle had been. "Is that your doll, Babushka?" she asked. "Yes, dear, it was my doll when I was a little girl like you." "Did you play with her all the time?" said Natasha. "No, dear, I only played with her once. Only once." Here in the picture, Natasha is pointing up at the shelf, and her and grandmother are looking at the doll, and grandmother has explained she only played with the doll one time. Can you imagine having a toy that you only played with one time? Well, Natasha's grandmother says she only played with the doll once. What happens next? "I have finished my soup now," said Natasha. "May I hold the little doll just for a while?" Babushka got the doll down from the high shelf. "Yes, it is just the right time for you to play with her," said Babushka. She handed the doll to Natasha. "I'm going to the store for groceries," she said. "You may play with the doll until I get back." And here's Babushka handing the doll over to Natasha. And Babushka is going to leave Natasha at home with the doll. And something is going to happen. As soon as the door closed behind Natasha's grandmother, something happened. The little doll began to move. She jumped to her feet and did a little dance. For a moment, Natasha was frightened, but then the doll called, "Come on, Tasha, let's go out and play." And there's the doll coming to life and asking Natasha to go out and play. Natasha and the doll ran and ran until Natasha could run no more. As soon as Natasha sat down to catch her breath, the doll said, "Get up, Tasha. You get up now. I want to play." And there they are, running and running until Natasha is so tired. "I'll swing you on the swing," Natasha said. "Whee!" the doll squealed. "Push harder. I want to go higher." Natasha pushed the doll higher and higher, but soon she grew tired. "Don't stop, Tasha," cried the doll. "Don't stop. I want you to swing me higher." And look at that. Natasha does not look very happy. She's pushing the doll as hard as she can, but the doll wants to go higher and higher. "I'll take you for a ride in the goat cart," Natasha said. "Oh, goody!" Tasha the doll chirped. "And don't you slow down. Keep going as long as I want. Do you hear me? As long as I want." What do you think of this doll who's bossing her around and demanding to do all these different things? Does that remind you of anyone? Soon Natasha couldn't lead the goat cart any longer. "I have to stop," said Natasha. "I need to rest." "Now I want to eat," said the doll. Poor Natasha was very tired, but she tried her best to make some lunch. There's Natasha trying to rest and the doll saying, "I want to eat right now." Look at Natasha's face. She does not look very happy at all. Babushka's doll spilled the tea. She sloshed the soup from her spoon, and she flung noodles all over her head. Then she pounded her fist in the mess and laughed and laughed. So now Babushka's doll is making a horrible mess, and poor Natasha is all alone to deal with it. Suddenly, she stopped laughing and started to scream, "My dress! Tasha, it's all dirty! I want you to wash it right now!" Natasha washed the little dress and hung it on the line. There's Natasha washing the little dress. Then she ironed it and put it on the doll. "You didn't do it right," said the doll. "My dress is all wrinkled." Natasha began to cry. "I'm just a little girl," she said between sobs. "I wish you were just a doll." There's the crying Natasha, wishing that doll would stop demanding so many things. "My darling girl," a voice cried out. "Why are you crying, my precious child?" "Babushka," sobbed Natasha. "Your little doll came to life and she was very naughty. All she wanted me to do was work. She never let me rest. She made me iron her dress and I don't even know how. I'm just a little girl." There, Babushka said. "You must have had a bad dream." There's Natasha crying in the corner, and the doll is flopped on the floor, and Babushka is trying to console her and make her feel better. "Maybe," said Natasha. Her grandmother smiled and held Natasha closer. "From now on, you can play with the little doll anytime you want." "No, thank you, Babushka," Natasha said. "Once is enough." So in the end, Natasha doesn't want to play with the doll anymore. Why do you think that? Why do you think she doesn't want to play with the doll? I'll check in on that thinking in just a minute. Babushka picked up the little doll and put her back on the high shelf. "It looks like you've had quite a day," she said softly to the doll. The little doll gave Babushka a wink and went back to just being a doll. And the end of this story says that Natasha turned out different after she played with the doll. There is grandmother winking at the doll and putting her back on the shelf. So I'll ask you again, what did you decide was her character trait at the beginning? Was Natasha helpful, kind, selfish, or was she curious? How many of you chose selfish, always demanding that Grandma do things for her when Grandma was trying to work? And when Grandma asked her to be a helper, she said no. She wasn't helpful. She wasn't kind. She wasn't curious. She was selfish. But after she played with the doll, did Natasha learn a lesson in this story? What did she learn from the doll? Did she learn how it feels to be treated so rudely and not to have help and have things demanded done for you? So, do you think Natasha will change? And will she be different? Will she change her personality trait? So how might she change? Do you think she might become a little more helpful? Do you think she might be a little more kind and a little less selfish? I'm not sure if the story said anything about curious, but as a reader, taking the time to get to know Natasha through the way that she talked to her grandmother and the things that she did in the story helped me understand that this book is trying to teach a lesson. So what lesson did you learn from this story? Is it better to be helpful and kind and patient, or selfish? I bet you're making the right choice right now. Well, I really appreciate you sharing this time with me today to read this book called Babushka's Doll by Patricia Polacco. And the next time you see me, I will share more skills about what good readers do to become better readers. See you next time. Bye.